Stephen Garvey, founder, leader of National Citizens Alliance of Canada, NCA. Thank you for joining me here tonight. We're going to talk about CANZUK and the implications for Canadians regarding this globalist bloc that is being pushed by different political sectors of Canada. And I have to say at the beginning, NCA is all about facts, not sentiments. Our purpose tonight is to inform you, the Canadian people. We don't feel you're being adequately informed on this issue. And we're going to get right into it. And we're going to explain why we oppose this major bloc by the globalists in Canada that are pushing it. CANZUK, it refers to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. It's a political economic union of Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom as part of an international body similar in scope to the European Union. It's being spun by the globalists who are pushing it as so-called free trade, freedom, and open democracy. These are all loaded terms, and it's masking what we view as a globalist, open borders, no borders agenda. And we all know there's no free trade in the world. Not even the Shanghai Free Trade Zone, Mexico Free Trade Zone, you name it. There's no such thing as free trade. What is this open democracy? Open. It actually means open borders, wide open borders. The erosion of Canadian sovereignty. The elimination of Canadian sovereignty. And there's people out there who support the initial concept of an open borders, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. But what they don't realize is that all the extremists that have flooded into the UK and in New Zealand will have open access to Canada. And we could just look at the UK, the acid attacks, the knife attacks that are so bad in London, there's a ban on carrying knives. There's rapes, epidemic rapes in the UK, grooming gangs, Sharia courts all over the UK, no-go zones. All this will flood into Canada through CANZUK. I'm going to go further into it, but this is a poll we had up this week. And the question was, do you support open borders? And then it went on about the Conservative Party fully, officially endorse CANZUK as part of their policy. And then the Liberal Party suggesting that they support it. And all the mainstream parties supporting globalist trade like TPP, FIPA, globalist trade with China, globalist trade with India, which erode Canadian sovereignty, are going to eliminate Canadian jobs and push wages lower. So we've had 642 votes. 98% of those who vote oppose open borders. 2% support open borders. We've had massive pushback from Conservative Party trolls. Conservative Party sheepish supporters crying that we're lying about the Conservative Party. We're lying about their official policy. They don't even know the official policy of the Conservative Party, which is pushing open borders, wide open borders. They've been trolling our page for the last 3 days, crying, we're lying, We have no chance. Like a bunch of little babies. No facts. Lots of sheep. Lots of paid robotic trolls on our page. This is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. They don't even know what their own party stands for. Pathetic. Shame on you. What are you voting for? It's complete idiocy. We're going to give you the facts tonight. So open your ears tonight. By all means, give us your feedback, but save your trolling and your nonsense for another page. We don't want it on this page. Go back to your mommy if you want. Go to your basement. So I'm going to, that's actually the meme. This was up and it's still going on our page if you want to participate. It was published on August 6th. Do you support open borders? Look at that. Almost a full majority. I'd like to know who the 2% are. Who's supporting open borders? This is another meme we had up. And this again got all these Conservative Party trolls targeting us. And then all their sheepish supporters coming on our page. But we're just speaking the truth. Scheer is a globalist puppet. It's obvious. Look at their policies. Look at the history of that crooked party. 100% globalists. I'm not going to go into it tonight, but this caused a big reaction. But I'm going to get into CANZUK now. We're going to go right into the meat of this. This is an article that's promoting it. It's very disturbing. They say this is not just about migration and trade agreements, but then they claim they're spinning it. False spins here. They say it's all about Western values, democracy, freedom, prosperity. That's just a spin, a sales job. That's all it is. But what this is, what they're shooting for, is actually a massive globalist bloc beyond these 4 countries, up to 53 countries, all the Commonwealth countries. That's what their end game. And beyond that, this will destroy Canada as we know it. There will be no Canada. And it's very dangerous. They talk about an alliance of multilateralists. That's what they talk about. Alliance of multilateralists right here. And what that means is joint participation of a number of countries versus unilateral, which is a sovereign country. And this alliance of multilateralists pertains to a multilateral globalist system. And in the article, they say that CANZUK is a bulwark against populism and nationalism. So these are globalists behind CANZUK who are reacting to the rise of populism and nationalism. This is what it's about. They said it's about the protection of the liberal international order. Protection of the liberal international order. That's what CANZUK is about. And it says here, protection it says right here, against so-called authoritarian nationalism, bulwark, pathetic. These are globalist shills behind this. And then they say protection of liberal international order. What they're talking about is the multilaterals globalist system. globalist trade, multilateral institutions, including the UN, World Bank, IMF, international banking cartel, multi-controlled democracy. That's what that's all about. That's just global world order. It's open borders beyond any national identity, culture, heritage, and values. And it says here, CANZUK will be a bloc defined by its commitment to the principles of free and open democracy. What is that? That's just a loaded spin terms. Above and beyond any national identity, geopolitical imperatives. Right. So beyond any Canadian national identity, so a globalist identity, for all the differences between the CANZUK states, no longer nations, they call them states, they are more than anything else united by their common loyalties to basic principles of democracy and freedom. So they're just spinning it there. Those nations which still cleave to the principles of freedom and democracy must stand together and must stand strong and must be willing to defend the principles of liberal internationalism that have given the world its strongest period of expanding peace, freedom, and prosperity in recorded history. So there you have it. CANZUK is all about retaining, maintaining the liberal international order. Basically the global order in society, in the world today. That's what this is all about. And this is in response to the rise of populism and nationalism. Which countries could eventually join CANZUK? And this article here says here, it should be open to any Commonwealth country. They're free to join in this article. That's what they're saying. And they encourage them to join. And they will be admitted on their merit, a case by case. But their goal is to expand this beyond 4 countries. They're talking about the possibility of bringing Bahamas, Bermuda, St. Kitts, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan into this. Belize. All these countries would have open access to Canada. And then this article here, this is on Canuck Law website. He goes into it further. And he looks at the implications of this. He says there's potentially 16 countries, if we include the members of the Commonwealth, who currently share Queen Elizabeth II as their monarch. This would open up India, over 1.3 billion people, Pakistan, 193 million, Nigeria, 186 million, Bangladesh, 163 million, who would dwarf the CANZUK countries in terms of inhabitants, rendering them merely minor players. This is wide open borders, and these are the 16 countries. India and Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh have a combined population of almost 2 billion. Imagine erasing the border between them and Canada. It would be a population overrun if even 10% of those people came here. And Canuck Law is right. CANZUK is a Trojan horse. It is marketed to the public as loosening the borders between only Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. However, the group makes it explicit that other countries joining is entirely possible and encouraged. If, for example, 50 million Indians were to come to Canada, just 4% of their population, Canada would double in size and the voting results would be altered forever. This is demographic replacement. This is the reality of CANZUK. It's wide open borders. It's supporting the liberal international order, the globalist order in the world, the UN, the World Bank, the IMF, the globalist institutions. That's what it's about. But let me just come back to what I said at the beginning. Imagine if it's just those 4 countries. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. What about all the extremists in the UK that can flood into Canada? What about that? The grooming gangs. All the acid attacks, the knife attacks in London. The Sharia courts throughout UK. What about all that? Coming in. Free, open borders right in. Do you think that would be good for this country? These are the member countries of the Commonwealth. 53 countries potentially could be part of this globalist bloc. We're talking about Cameroon, Kenya, Mozambique, South Africa. Look at the way they're treating the Boers in South Africa. Malaysia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh. Canada would be overrun. Canada would be radically transformed. Completely transformed. A third world globalist mess. This gets worse. CANZUK is official policy of the Conservative Party of Canada. It's official policy of the Conservative Party of Canada. Conservative? How about we call them the Globalist Party of Canada? Because that's what they really are. This has nothing to do with conservative values. This is open borders, globalist preservation of the existing institutions, maintaining the liberal international order. This is official conservative policy right here for all those conservative sheep out there and the trolls. This was adopted as official federal policy of the Conservative Party of Canada. And this was in 2018. Right here. These are globalists running this party. They support open borders, wide open borders. They support the UN, the World Bank, the IMF, all these institutions, the existing global order. They oppose populism, Canadian nationalism. That is a fact. Who else supports CANZUK? The Liberal Party, Trudeau, has hinted. here, this was in July 31st, 2019, hinting to the new Prime Minister, the globalist conservative in the UK, hinting to Johnson that the Liberals would support this Brexit type of trade agreement. All the other mainstream parties support globalist TPP, including the globalist libertarian Bernier. They all support globalist trade with China, India. That is a fact. So it's safe to assume all of these mainstream parties, including the globalist libertarian Bernier, they all support CANZUK without question. But some of them are afraid to come out and admit it. That's the truth. But this is coming. NCA stands in full opposition to globalist trade that is undermining Canadian sovereignty, lowering our wages. It's also impacting our industries. It's open borders. So we encourage you to support NCA. We are true populist nationalists. We oppose CANZUK. We support Canadian sovereignty. We support protecting Canadian workers and jobs. We support international trade, but we don't support this open borders globalist agenda. We oppose the UN. We oppose these globalist institutions. Please share the message tonight, and thank you for joining me.